Good people, welcome back to Global Happening. Today we are so excited to have you again. Still talking about APC and their presidential primaries, which will be coming up on the 7th of June 2022. Right now, they are screening the second batch of presidential aspirants who are vying for the the APC ticket. And one of the issues of concern, which has been integrated into some of the questions that the committee is using to quiz the aspirant, is the issue of consensus. That's consensus candidacy. Would you step down if the need arise and all of that? That issue has generated a lot of controversy in different camps. And right now, Tinubu has spoken about that particular issue, and we are going to see his position about consensus candidacy in APC. In other words, would he step down if the need arise, or would he still stand his ground and refuse to step down for anyone? Let's look at that in a jiffy. According to the news, an anticipated bid by the All Progressive Congress (APC) to adopt the consensus arrangement in picking its presidential aspirant may turn out to be hard nut to crack for the governing party, as one of its frontline presidential aspirants, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, insisted before the party's presidential screening committee that he will never step down to for any preferred candidate. The APC national leader was among the 12 presidential aspirants screened yesterday by the party in Camara. The screening of the APC presidential aspirant, which took place at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, was shrouded in secrecy away from curious journalists who were restricted to lobby at the reception of the five-star hotel. The 12 presidential aspirants screened yesterday include Tinubu Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, Jigawa State Governor Abubakar Badaru, former Senate President Ken Namani, former Minister of State for Education Emeka Nwajuba, former Governor of Ogun State Senator Bikunle Amosun, Fieri Lagos State Cleric and former vice presidential candidate to Muhammadu Buhari in 2011, Pastor Tunde Bakare. Others are Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi, Zamfara State Governor Ahmed Sani Yerima, Senator Ajayi Boroface, the only female aspirant, Barrister Mrs. Uju Kennedy, and Pastor Nicholas Felix Nwabo. Tinubu, who arrived at the screening venue at about 5:50 p.m., had a difficulty on his way to the screening room at Transcorp Hotel as a crowd fell over themselves to welcome him with cheers and songs of praise. Leadership gathered reliably that sitting right before the committee, Tinubu told members of the presidential screening panel that he won't agree to a consensus under any circumstance. His stand was said to have put the former Lagos State governor at loggerheads with the whole panel. Other aspirants, apart from Tinubu and one of the presidential hopeful, it was learned, said they had no option than to bow to whims of the party in the spirit of party supremacy in the event where the party chooses to settle for a consensus presidential candidate. Only two others had reservation, but essentially everyone agreed that the interest of the party is sacrosanct. Tinubu outrightly disagreed. He said the only circumstance he would agree is if he emerges as the consensus candidate. Wow. A source close to the screening panel to disclose last night. They were also concerned yesterday in the camp of the APC national leader following the appointment of a former national chairman of the party, John Eyegun, his Eastern elsewhere political ally, as chairman of the APC presidential screening panel. Tinubu and Eyegun fell apart during the leadership crisis that consumed later leading to the emergence of former Edo State Governor Comrade Adams Oshimole as his successor. While the APC was unobtrusive in planning and conducting the screening exercise at an undisclosed room at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Journalists had a hard day locating the venue when news broke in the early hours of yesterday without any official statement from the party to the effect that the exercise would hold. At the hotel, journalists were barred from the venue of the screening, unlike in the past when the conventional practice had been for the party to inform media with details of the screening, including the venue and time of events. There were no details about membership of the screening committee, and when it was constituted till later in the day when it became clear that the APC quickly set up a seven-man committee chaired by Oyegun to conduct the screening exercise for the presidential aspirant. National Chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, and National Secretary Iola Omosore were also said to be members of the committee. There had also been reports that the governing party was planning to prune the number of its presidential aspirant as part of plan for a consensus option which had propped up names like former President Goodluck Jonathan, a possible preferred candidate. The APC has postponed its presidential screening exercise for three consecutive times, leading to the postponement of its presidential convention earlier scheduled to hold on May 29 to 30th. Now, the position of Tinubu has been made clear, and I like that for him to let them know that being a national leader, I deserve certain things. According to him, he said the only consensus he will accept is if he is the consensus candidate. Already, the man is perceiving that there are some games ongoing, and he would not like to give into those kind of games. You understand? I'm going to read once what someone says. Someone here says, he will never smell Aso Rock no matter what he says or does. Another person say, who do you think Jagaban will step down for? Is it Osinbanjo or Mechi? They don't have the balls to contest against Jagaban. That one here say, Atiku is winning the next election. Tinubu knows he has nothing to lose. Atiku is open-handed and forgives even those seeing themselves as his enemies because he has no enemies. So why wouldn't they align with Tinubu, his longtime friend, though anyone is Atiku's friend? So many reactions by Nigerians. But I feel that what happened in PDP should be the same thing that will happen in APC. PDP was so, transparent. We saw transparency. The only thing we saw there was the fact that, the primaries was also a game like every other political, event. It was a game where we saw some hanky-panky that the governor of Sokoto State played and hoist out Wike, giving the power to, the person of Atiku. But in terms of transparency and the peaceful conduct of their primary, it was superb, such as never really been seen. Everything was successfully done. There was no fight. There was no argument. Everything went well. I think that APC should also adopt that style. This consensus stuff is actually very, very wrong. So wrong. Allow the delegates to choose the person they want to lead them at the end of the day. I'd like to leave it there, go to our comment section. And now that Tinubu says he's not stepping down, do you think that he will end up being the consensus candidate?